You know the story, right? A giant asteroid slams into the Earth and boom, the dinosaurs are gone. A planetary catastrophe. But what if the next great extinction event isn't hurtling toward us from space? What if it's already here? Today we're going to dig into the powerful and frankly pretty unsettling evidence for what many scientists are now calling the sixth extinction.
Just look at these two images. On one side, you've got nature as it should be, this incredibly complex, balanced, thriving community. And on the other side, well, you see the source of the problem. This contrast right here, this is the story of our time. The unbelievable impact that just one species is having on, well, pretty much every other form of life on the planet.
So where do we even begin with a story this big? It has to start with us. I mean, to really get a handle on the threat to other species, we first have to be honest about the sheer scale of our own influence.
And the most obvious sign of our giant footprint? It's just how many of us there are. It's simple math, really. Every single person needs resources to live, space to exist, and all of that adds up to a massive, cumulative impact on the world's ecosystems. But here's the kicker. It's not just the total number, it's the speed of the growth. Just look at this chart. Between 1950 and 1990, that's just 40 years, a single lifetime. The human population more than doubled. That kind of acceleration is something the planet has literally never seen before.
And if this train keeps up, some projections say we could hit 12 billion people. Now, that is not just a number on a screen. That represents a mind-boggling demand for food, for water, for energy, for land, all of which has to come from somewhere.
Okay, so we've established the scale of our impact, but to really understand how all that pressure affects other species, we need to quickly go over the basic rules that govern all life. Let's take a look at how ecosystems are supposed to work when we're not messing with them.
So the fundamental building block is the ecosystem. And it's not just the plants and animals, the living or biotic stuff. It's also how they interact with the non-living or abiotic things, like the water, the soil, and the climate. The key takeaway is that everything is connected in this intricate web.
You see, in a perfect world with no limits, every species has what's called a biotic potential. It's basically its maximum possible growth rate. The field mouse is a fantastic example. If you had just 20 mice with all the food they could want and no predators, they could explode into a population of over 5,000 in just 6 months. Wild, right?
But of course, the real world isn't an all-you-can-eat buffet. In nature, that explosive growth gets held in check by things called limiting factors. Any resource that's in short supply, whether it's food, water, or place to live, it puts a hard ceiling on how big a population can get. And these limits come in two main flavors. You've got your density-dependent factors, like the food supply. The more crowded it gets, the more competition there is. Then you have density-independent factors, like a forest fire or a flood. Those can hit a population hard, no matter how big or small it is. So nature has this beautiful, intricate system of checks and balances that's been working for millions of years. But what happens when something new, something powerful, gets introduced and just breaks all the rules? Well, more often than not, that something is us.
And one of the most dramatic ways we break the rules is by introducing invasive species. These are plants or animals that we move into an ecosystem where they have no natural enemies, which means they can just run wild.
The European starling is a perfect example. Believe it or not, back in the 1890s, a group of Shakespeare fans released a bunch of them in Central Park because they were mentioned in his plays. With nothing to keep them in check, their population exploded. They spread across the entire continent, kicking native birds like the mountain bluebird out of their nests and causing their populations to plummet.
And if you think that was a one-off thing, check out the zebra mussel. They're originally from the Caspian Sea, but they hitched a ride to the Great Lakes in the ballast water of big ships. From there, they've spread like wildfire through North America's rivers, completely re-engineering entire aquatic ecosystems as they go.
But it's not just about introducing new species. We also create powerful new limiting factors for the species that are already here. Things like pollution and destroying habitats can act like slamming the brakes on a species' ability to survive, pushing entire populations toward collapse.
Now, to really put what's happening today into perspective, we need to zoom out. And I mean way, way out. We need to look at the entire history of life on this planet. The history of life on Earth has been this amazing story of growing diversity, but it's a story that's been violently interrupted by planetary disasters. You have these incredible bursts of life, like the Cambrian explosion, but you also have these devastating events like the Permian extinction, the Great Dying, and of course the one we all know, the one that took out the dinosaurs.
The most important thing to get from all this is that the world has never, ever been static. It's always changing. The species alive right now are just a tiny snapshot in time. They all evolved from ancestors that looked and acted completely differently. Change is the only constant.
And you can actually see the evidence of this deep history right inside modern animals. Just look at this whale skeleton. See those tiny, useless little hip and leg bones? Those are called vestigial structures. They're leftovers from a time, millions of years ago, when the whale's ancestors actually walked on land. It's like a fossil record hidden inside a living creature.
And all of this brings us right back to the big question. We know for a fact that mass extinctions have happened before. So how does what's happening today even compare?
Right. The dinosaur story. A single catastrophic event from space that changed the course of life on Earth forever. So the question we have to ask is, are our own actions becoming the modern-day equivalent of that asteroid?
The huge extinction events of the past were all set off by catastrophic natural forces. We're talking asteroid impacts, continent-sized volcanic eruptions, massive sudden shifts in the climate, things that rewrote the rules for life on a global scale.
Today, the pressures look a little different. They look like this. Habitat destruction, pollution, those invasive species we talked about, a rapidly changing climate, and all of it is being driven by the activities of one single species. The cause isn't some random rock from space. It's a force that grew right here on Earth.
And that leaves us with one last really profound question. The planet's history is filled with these massive extinction events. We know that. But if we are in the middle of a new one, this would be the first one ever to be caused not by a random act of nature, but by one of its own creations. So what does it mean when the asteroid is us?